My name is Hisham Abdallah. I'm the Director of Postgraduate Medical Education in Walsall. I'm going to be talking to you about the transition from medical student to fully fledged doctor, about learning from failure to success, and how to get through the good times as well as the bad, and finally the two jobs that you have in this organisation. So I remember graduating from medical school and the delirious excitement that comes at qualification after 5 or 6 years of hard work. Thousands of hours of study and weekends working, in my case as a sales assistant and then as a healthcare support worker, had finally got me through. Those arduous and exhausting times had finally come to fruition. Successes and failures had culminated in one huge, thrilling success, and I could hardly believe that I had made it. Not only that, but I had been rewarded with a rotation in the hospital of my choice, a teaching hospital, walking distance from home. I was planning to get married to the lady of my dreams, and finally I would be earning enough to save towards preparing for this. And my dad, himself a doctor who had come to the UK from Egypt 20 years earlier, had his dream of me following in his footsteps come to fruition. Life couldn't be rosier. As I approached those first few days of work, my optimism started being replaced with uncertainty and with pessimism. I had scraped through that microbiology module. What if the gaps in my knowledge were found out? I'd been off sick during one of those skills sessions. What if my poor cannulation techniques was exposed? What if I fell out with my colleagues? What if one of those notorious consultant surgeons made my life hell? What if my head spun with the endless list of potential catastrophes? I would like to say that none of those outcomes came true. Some didn't, but some did. But what I came to realize is that I had become and developed into a fantastic final year medical student. I was able to pass tests, impress examiners, and thrive in life under pressure. But that didn't necessarily equate with me being an excellent foundation year doctor. Many of those negative experiences in my first year are seared into my memory. A failed cannulation, despite multiple attempts in the middle of the night, embarrassing pauses on the ward round when being asked microbial questions which I hadn't revised for, and a missed shift when I had been so exhausted when I had slept through my alarm that morning. I can confidently say, though, that none of them were catastrophic, and each have made me into a better doctor and a better person than I was before. I've learned far more from my failures and my successes, and I have learned to lean into my failures, because that is where the greatest learning has been. People will sometimes talk to you about mapping out your intended future and career planning, whereas in truth, for me, it felt less like a career and more like careering. The story you tell yourself only seems to make sense in retrospect. On the way forward, it seems like a myriad of difficult choices, most of them totally out of your hands. I learned recently that many years later that my dad had intended initially to go to the USA, but had failed his USMLE. Had he had a better that day, then my life would have been entirely different. Maybe it would have been better, maybe it would have been worse. But uncertainty is hard. It's not easy to be in the grey zone. No one likes being there. But I encourage you to become comfortable with discomfort. And the way to do this is to have guide through that fog. First is curiosity to learn, and the second is your purpose. Firstly, that thirst for knowledge and an insatiable appetite for understanding is valuable. And secondly, the principles you live by, knowledge and security of why you are here, and the codes of conduct and rules of thumb to help you make decisions. Most notably the GMC, but also by your friends, colleagues, and patients. In the end, the decisions and efforts are up to you, but the outcomes are not. I spent my elective in Egypt in a pediatric oncology hospital, Abu Rish, in Cairo. It had been a childhood dream for me to go back to my roots. Although I thought I was prepared, I was still shocked by the gaps in the service I saw. Parents and siblings donating blood for their children, washing needles before reusing them, I was having to decide which child gets a CT scan this week and which can wait till next week. Even thousands of pounds of donated equipment from well-meaning benefactors gathering dust in a disused ICU. It made me grateful to be returning to an NHS where care is free at the point of care, irrespective of who can and who can't pay for it. But actually, graduating, that idea was exposed to me as being an ideal. I found the most shocking and disappointing aspect of becoming a doctor is the huge birth between the care I'd been trained to deliver and the care that I could deliver. And it seemed the more I learned, the greater the gulf between the evidence-based care and the reality of that care. whether it was delays in getting test results, having to run specimens to the labs because of inadequacies of service, or other essential tasks. So Bruce Kao describes doctors in training as the eyes and ears of the NHS. As a newcomer to the trust, you have a unique set of attributes. You have the fresh eyes that come from seeing something for the first time. Your analysis is more true for not having been laden with assumptions of what is right or what is correct. You haven't yet learned the hidden curriculum that you absorb as soon as you start walking through the door. But that freshness won't stay. Soon, most of you will experience something as normal just because it is the norm here. You'll be considering things as sensible just because they are common. But I encourage you to be dissatisfied with the status quo and use those fresh eyes to your and to our advantage. Be prepared to rock the boat and reach out to other boat rockers. Feedback your experience by the Junior Doctors Forum, through the anonymous surveys that run twice annually, the NETS and NGS, or through your educational supervisor or college tutors. But most importantly, be part of the solution. Offer suggestions, make recommendations, and lead. You will soon be consultants or GPs expected to lead your teams. Now is the time to learn to lead well, to make a difference to the quality of care and for the care of your colleagues. And make changes yourself. There is a charitable fund that is available for educational interventions if you think they'll make a difference. I started this by reminding you that you have two jobs here in Walsall. One is to deliver the service, and the second is to improve the service. And we are here to help you with both of those.